Most castles were built as fortified royal residences, and many of them sprang up throughout Europe during the medieval era. Each one is steeped in history, and while some are better preserved than others, it is worth exploring as many as you can. Here's our top 10 most epic medieval castles in Europe. Number 10. Malmour Castle. Malmour Castle, known in Germany as the Marienburg, is a medieval fortified castle complex enclosed within thick walls. Including a vast palace, a monastery, 3 castles, and hundreds of other buildings, mostly homes, Malmour Castle was built in the 13th century by the invading Teutonic Knights. During the World War II, more than half of the castle was destroyed. After 1945, the city of Malmour and the castle once again became part of Poland. At the time construction finished in 1406, Malmour Castle was the world's largest brick castle. Number 9. Kaj Castle Poland. Kaj Castle is one of the largest castles in Poland. Completed in 1292, this majestic structure is known for its pink and blue pastel color scheme. There is also an elaborate set of tunnels spanning beneath the castle. It served the Bohemian royalty for the first few hundred years of its existence. During World War II, the Nazis seized it from the Habsburg family who owned it at the time. It is rumored that Adolf Hitler himself planned to live here. After the war, the Red Army destroyed all artifacts inside. The beautifully intricate castle has been restored to its former glory and today houses 3 hotels, 2 restaurants, and an art gallery. Number 8. Corfe Castle, Dorset. Head to the quintessential English countryside in Dorset to explore the ruins of Corfe Castle and Estate, which dates back to the 11th century. Historically, it was used to house King John as a royal treasure shop and even as a prison on the Isle of Purbeck in Corfe Castle village. Corfe Castle was one of the first stone castles built in England, and its position was perfect for guarding the natural route through the Purbeck Hills. Due to conservation efforts, the castle grounds welcome visitors that wish to experience its history and beauty. Make sure to explore the charming village itself with quaint cafes and a miniature model of the castle at the Corfe Castle Model Village and Garden. Number 7. Donan Castle, Scotland. Donan Castle is located on a small island in Scotland where 3 lochs meet. It was built in the 13th century to protect the area from the Vikings. Unlike the castles on our list that were designed primarily for aesthetic purposes, Donan Castle saw its fair share of battles. In fact, it has changed sizes and fortifications many times throughout its history as an important military structure. The castle was used well into the 18th century. The English bombarded the castle in 1719, and for nearly 200 years it remained in ruins. Alt Colonel John McRae Gilstrap bought the island where the castle stands and dedicated the following 2 decades to its restoration. Today, the castle is accessible to the public. Number 6. Corbin Castle. Corbin Castle is the perfect destination for anyone who wants to discover a legendary castle. This Gothic masterpiece of Transylvania, also known as Hohenzollern Castle, is the largest medieval building in Romania and one of the most beautiful castles in the world. It was included in the top 10 European dream destinations. The main reason would be the fascinating history of this place that stretches over 6 centuries. On the top of that, the castle is located on a rock above the rivers Lasti looking over Hunedoara and is surrounded by mystery, stirring up the visitor's interest. The most terrifying and exciting part of the castle is the underground, the place where prisoners were tortured. The torture chambers consist of 2 dark rooms filled with torturing tools used in the medieval age. Some of the instruments are authentic, dating back to the 17th century. Number 5. Bohemia Castle. It is a Romanesque castle with some original Gothic and Renaissance elements built in the 12th century. Bohemia Castle is one of the most visited castles in Slovakia, receiving hundreds of thousands of visitors every year and also being a popular filming stage for fantasy and fairy tale movies. Number 4. Hohenzollern Castle. The spectacular spired vision of Hohenzollern Castle is a 19th century creation and popular tourist destination. Located 40 miles south of Stuttgart, it is in fact the 3rd castle to be built on this site, the earliest in the 11th century. The current incarnation of the castle was commissioned by King Frederick William of Prussia and completed in 1867. The castle was modeled on similar constructions in England and France in the Gothic Revival style. In 1945, Hohenzollern briefly became the home of the former Crown Prince Wilhelm of Germany, son of the last German monarch, Kaiser Wilhelm. Number 3. Schwerin Castle. Schwerin Castle is a picturesque palace which seemingly floats upon Schwerin Lake. Whilst it is thought that there was a fort on this location as early as the 10th century, the beginnings of Schwerin Castle date back to 1160, where Henry the Lion built a castle there. It was only from around 1843 that Schwerin Castle began to take the form we see today. Vast renovation of the building took place, with only some of its older parts having been kept. Number 2. Edinburgh Castle. A royal residence, a vital stronghold, and an iconic structure, Edinburgh Castle is one of the most famous castles in the world. Archaeologists have found evidence of human settlement on the rock on which the castle sits as early as 900 BC, the Late Bronze Age. Over the following centuries, Edinburgh Castle continued to play its role as a crucial defensive structure, as well as becoming an integral part of Scotland's history. Today, visitors to Edinburgh Castle can explore the castle's history through a series of guided tours and exhibitions. Amongst its main attractions are the Scottish National War Memorial and National War Museum. Number 1. Kaj Castle. Located in the village of Zara, the castle is one of the largest castles in Central Europe. But it stands out in its width and height as the fortress was built on a 200-meter rock. The 13th century castle is a legacy of the Tatar invasion. In 1780, the castle was destroyed in a fire. The cause of the blaze is unknown. The castle was partly reconstructed in the second half of the 20th century and has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1993. Here you have it. Top 10 medieval castle in Europe. If you like this video, give us a like and subscribe.